Okay, we are live, and good morning. It is a very early morning for me. I'm Robert Lunte from the Vocalist Studio, author and producer of a very big book and a whole bunch of courses that help singers learn how to train to become coordinated and strong for singing, all right? And yes, it is indeed super early over here in North America. It is like 5 a.m., but there is nothing, there's nothing else I would get up early for than to have an exciting streamcast interview with my friend and partner, Maestro Rahul Sharma, who we think we've done our research, has produced the world's first contemporary CCM vocal training course in Hindi. Rahul?
I think yes, yeah. Thanks, Robert. Absolutely amazing to see your commitment. How early you woke up, set up the entire thing. I know. I mean, it's it's commendable. Yeah, and yeah. I mean, it's pretty comfortable here. It's like 7 o'clock in the evening, and you. So I mean, hats off to you.
Yeah, you've already had a glass of brandy and you're kicking back and chilling out for the day, and I'm just getting ready. I like to tell people when we do these interviews that there's people so far away, and he's in India and I'm in Idaho, America, and he's so far away that we actually can bend the space-time continuum. It's amazing. It's tomorrow with you right now. Okay, so that's a lot of fun. So let's just go ahead and get started with this. Okay, we got a lot to talk about, and it's super exciting for folks. Real quick, I'm just going to do a quick little looky-loo over here on Facebook. Make sure that we're broadcasting over there. Excuse me, folks. Sort of a low-tech operation, and click on that. And it's yes, there we are. Okay, Rahul.
You good?
Yep, we're good. We're good. We are broadcasting.
All
right,
perfect.
Rahul, tell us briefly about your school in India and what will students gain or learn from your school. Tell us a little bit about your background and what's going on.
All right. So basically, I run a music academy in New Delhi. That's the capital of India. I've been. It's called the Guitar School. We primarily teach guitar, acoustic and electric guitar, and vocals, contemporary vocals only. We started back in 2012, made a very humble beginning, but in the last 8 years, I've taught over 1,200 students, and a lot of them are professional musicians. Some of them are teachers, some of them are professional performers, some of them are music producers, and I'm really happy to see how these guys have grown after they came to me. And as far as what people can learn from me, when a beginner comes to me, the focus is to get the fundamentals right and develop an interest in music. And the same lies for advanced musicians as well. Whether you're an advanced musician or a beginner, the fundamentals need to be right in place for you to advance. And one needs to understand that you always are a student of music. So that's where I always try to make sure that we're always humble in front of music, and we're always learning. And and I take classes in online as well as face-to-face format, in individual as well as group lessons. And we also teach rock school certification programs, both for singing and guitar as well.
Oh, fantastic! Well, I've always told my students and other coaches, actually, it's something I give to other coaches, people like yourself, which is the most active student in your studio is you, the teacher.
Yes, yes.
So you nailed that, right? And then Maestro David Kyle, famous voice coach I worked with for many years. He had a quote. One of my teachers when I was a kid, and he used to say this. He used to say, "The day you think you're done, you're done."
Super. True. I mean, I have seen, I've known you, Robert, for the last 5 years, and I've seen you also growing so much and expanding your learning. And I am like from the last 8 years, if I look at my journey while teaching, I've learned so much. So I think this needs to go on, and that's the whole fun of it.
Yeah, exactly. Not only in your music and professionally, but personally, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, but in some sense, this interview is a manifestation of personal growth for both of us. Yeah.
True.
Okay. Well, let's get back to our students and help them get there as well. A couple questions about your school. It's really cool. So there's guitar. Sounds like you're doing a lot of different things, but how much of that is for singers? How much of your schooling is for for people that are just like all about singing? And then it would be sort of fun to share with people a little bit about how we met, if you remember.
Yes, of course I remember. So I started off teaching only guitars. I mean, when I started out in 2012, for first 1.5 year, I was teaching only guitars. But then I moved on to teaching singing, and that was primarily to the guitarists, because almost all guitarists, they want to sing. I mean, they start off with guitar and then they want to sing. So that is how the singing actually happened, and then there were full-time dedicated singers who joined in, and then singing program became a dedicated program as well. And right now, so much that right now approximately 50% are singing students and 50% are guitar students, so it's almost at the same level. And talking about how we met, I was a student of Robert back in 2015. I remember when we were planning to when I had to go to Seattle. That is when I was looking through some YouTube videos, and I saw a really amazing video when there was a coach who said falsetto is not your head voice. I was like, really? That time, that time, all my so that blew me. That video was the one which got me connected to Robert, and then I started training with you, and that is how it all started. And here we are.
Yeah, that's cool. Falsetto's not your head voice. We'll go ahead and put the link down in the description. It's very interesting because before we started today, you and I were talking about that video. So yeah, thank you for reminding me. That's really a charming story. Okay, so next question. What was it like to produce the world's first Hindi language contemporary TVS vocal training course?
It was a game changer for me, honestly speaking. And I still remember how, when I started using the TVS method with my students and saw amazing results, we had a discussion, Robert, if you remember. You told me, why don't we make a program exclusively for the Indian students? So coming from a classical background, I trained in Hindustani classical earlier, then I trained in opera, and then I moved on to contemporary vocals. I realized that contemporary music talks a lot and has a lot of emphasis on vocal technique. And for me, this was like a big change in the pedagogy and the way things were looked at. And I was like, wow, this thing can really change the way singers sing. And I think, but however, there was a problem. There was a lot of terminology, a lot of jargon, and initially even I was getting lost where is what. But then once I got a hang of it, I thought, why not translate it in Hindi and explain it easier to my own Indian friends, so that it makes more sense for them. And secondly, I also thought, because the same principles apply to different musical styles. So whether in India people sing classical music, or you sing Bollywood contemporary music, or you sing pop and rock music, the basic principles remain the same. So why not apply this and get that sorted, so that all your singing experience is much more better? So when I was developing this course, I kept in mind the most a beginner in mind. That was what I had in mind. So a beginner picks up the course. He doesn't have any background in music. So what I did was I included every little detail a beginner must be thinking about. What is vocal coaching all about? What is pitch? What are scales? What is the keyboard look like? What are the black keys? What are the white keys? And then we get on to the training part. And as and when you expand on your training, you keep seeing a new lot of jargon and terminology open up. We talk about onsets, we talk about vocal modes, and a lot of other stuff that's in the course. So yeah, I mean, I and when I see the response, how everyone has responded to it. We just launched, I think, 20 days back, less than 20 days back.
Yeah.
And there has been an amazing response. So I think in a way it's been very rewarding, and I'm very happy that the objective that we both had in mind while producing is actually coming forward.
Yeah. It's getting off to a super strong start of all the partnership courses that I've worked with in other languages. I think you take the prize in terms of, wow, so many 5-star reviews immediately into the course, which is just, it's great. It's a good sign for things to come. And it says a lot about your course. Folks, if you're watching this, I was on a relatively day-to-day basis working with Rahul to help him put the course together, the curriculum that he just described and stuff. So, I can just tell you that it's super good. I mean, I'm going to put my name on it if it wasn't. Okay. It's so awesome. People that are looking or interested in a Hindi language contemporary technique training course to get stronger for singing are fortunate today. And that's true. I'm not just trying to sell something. It's just true. It's out there and it's great. And he did such a wonderful job, man. It's just fantastic.
Hadn't it been for your motivation and support, Robert, this would have been really tricky. I mean, there were a lot of roadblocks, and we had a lot of back and forth in the last 1 year. It's very, if you look back, it was last year that we discussed this, and it took us 1 year because there was a lot of back and forth. There were technical challenges and a lot of different stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
But finally, everything is in place.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But now we have this beautiful thing that will last forever and will just continue to grow. As I always tell people when they're thinking about making a course with my clients and my friends like you, one of the things I always tell everybody is producing a course is it's like making an album or making a movie. It's a creative endeavor, and 80%. All of the sweat, equity, and effort you invest it all up front. When you make a course, you're at the gambling table and you push all your chips forward and you make one big bet. Pretty much. So you better hope you got a good idea. And it's a lot, right? And it's all the work up front. But the thing is when it's done, then you have the love, as far as a course creator, the benefits of scalability and being able to reach more people and help more people around the world. You're instantly international. And as far as business is concerned, it's a good model as well. So I'm really excited to help you get out.
It took me 8 years and 1,200 students. And in the last 20 days, I have 100 more. So I think I'm that's a new for me.
Yeah, right. So the point is that an online course gives you a scalability on different levels. There's a financial scalability. There's also a scalability of distribution to getting reach to more people that you can help. For example, in just one of my courses, it's 60,000 people from 192 different countries. And when I go out and I look at those countries, about the first 5 are America, Canada, UK, Australia. After that, they're countries that I've barely even heard about, and there are people in those countries that would never, go out and purchase bigger things or get involved in other things. They would never hear about the Vocalist Studio. So it's super cool to be able to reach out and touch people that you never would have been able to touch in regards to the strategy and Udemy and the things that we're doing. Yeah.
Right.
So anyways, that's great. That's really fantastic. Now, we wrote down an interesting question, which is that what about classical Indian singing? In my studio, I've had people come in on occasion that wanted to train the TVS techniques, and they would come in with like this really cool little box, and they'd sit the box down on the stage, and they would go into the lotus position, and it's actually very beautiful. And then they would like do an a cappella of scales over this droning box. And can you just tell Western people a little bit more about that? And is it relevant to what you've produced?
Yeah. So first of all, that little tiny box that you see Indian students getting, that's called a tanpura. It's an electric tanpura. It's basically mimicking the sound that a real tanpura makes. So tanpura is a big string-based instrument. It has a belly, like you. And I don't remember the material with which it is made, but it has 4 strings. So it basically resonates on do and so, the first and fifth of the major scale, and that produces that drone effect. Okay, so that's what the real tanpura does. But the challenge is that tanpura is not like a guitar; it's like a huge instrument. You need a full truck. Yeah, you can't carry it along and take to your concert. So you need like a proper full taxi to take that tanpura. And plus, the challenging part is the tuning of that tanpura. So in Indian music, they don't tune according to the 12 note system. They follow the 22 note system, and the tuning is done a lot by the ear. So a student doesn't tune their tanpura. It is like after a couple of years of actually learning, you start tuning that instrument. So your teacher probably tunes it for you. So to cut all that out, we buy this electronic instrument, so you don't need to tune it. You just press it on.
You just buy one from Amazon. Just get
Yeah, so that tanpura is the thing. So basically what it does is different scales. So in Western music you have scales, right? And scales like major scale, minor scale, harmonic minor scale, and stuff like that. In Indian music we don't have scales, we have thats. So that is the word, that, which are basically combination of notes, and from that we have a lot of ragas that come in. Okay, so for each raga you basically don't play on the tanpura. So what you do is you just listen to the drone, and you need to know which notes to sing, and you, according to the raga that you choose, you sing that out. I mean, a lot of technical stuff. But yes, now talking about, when we talk about a style, so Hindustani classical music is a style of singing. Okay,
Yeah.
the basic principles of singing still remain the same. You still need to know how to get your vocal closure properly. You still need to know how to get the resonance right. You still need to be able to do the onsets right. Your breathing needs to be right. Your projection, your vocal placement, the basic, because at the primary level, when you start off, when you're learning to just sing the basics, like just singing a note, that still remains the same. So if you don't have this right, you can't do that right. So probably you will be a bad classical singer if your basic fundamentals are not right.
Yeah, right. So I think sort of what you're hitting at is that, and I'm I deal with this every single day, and as a voice coach, I know you do too. A question that voice teachers get every single day is, okay, great, I've been on your website, I've been looking at things, so it's pretty interesting, but can you help me sing like Hannah Montana? Can you help me sing like Chris Cornell? Can you help me sing in the style of Willie Nelson? And do you see Rahul, the look on Rahul's face? That's the look of,
yeah, I mean,
of course you can. And the reason is, and when he was sort of explaining is just that it's not about style, singing a certain kind of style. Now we can do that as voice coaches, and we do that, but that's almost a sideshow. Training to sing a certain style. It's really more about motor skills, repetition, building physical strength so that you can sing any style. So can people want to do classical Indian singing, including Westerners? I've got people that look like me that want to do classical Indian singing. That's how I was introduced to it. Are they going to benefit from your course?
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned, you first need to get the basic fundamentals right. Then so basically there are two aspects. One is what to sing, okay? So in classical music, you are going to sing something different. In rock music, you are going to sing something different. And then there is a part of it, the technique, how to sing that, okay? At primary levels, at the basic levels, you still need to do the same thing. You still need to be able to breathe correctly. You need to have a correct posture. You need to know how to do the diaphragmatic breathing and not chest breathing. You need to know how the high notes are to be sung. You don't need to hit them, as there is one more video where you say we don't hit the high notes, we reach out. I mean, so it's all a mindset game, and the correct getting the correct technique, right, getting the correct vocal placement. Because Robert, there's a very interesting thing I must tell you. There is one friend of mine, he's been learning classical music for over 10 years, and the other day we were discussing, he said, I'm not able to increase my range. I'm not able to hit certain notes above the high C. And I was like, C is not at all a high note for a professional singer, right? I mean, we're talking about C4 in a Yamaha system.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realized, in his 10 years of singing, there was no technique based training he had received. I don't blame it on the teacher, but the talk of the technique was not there. When I talked about resonance to him, when I talked about the cry mode, that was the first time he heard of it. And then I told him, dude, you got to research this thing. And vocal ranges, I mean, you are not able to reach the true potential that your voice has if you don't get your technique right. So, yeah, I mean, classical musicians definitely need to, I mean, they should learn this vocal techniques to get better at their own stuff. Then we're not going to take them to something else. They're going to be better in their own stuff.
Yeah, it's an important point that that needs to be sort of taken care of early on. That at least what Rahul and I do isn't all about style. It's really mostly about physical training. It's an athletic endeavor. It's like learning to dance or learning to do gymnastics, getting the coordination going, and it really does make a difference. So, all right, let's keep moving on. Great. When students complete your new course, what will be their improvements and their understanding? So they go through your course, they go out to, currently it's available on Udemy. There'll be a bigger course in the future soon, but at the moment you guys can run out to Udemy and get a really great deal, by the way, and pick this up. If they do that, what will be the improvements and the understandings? What would you like to say about what they get from your course when they're done?
Right. So as I already mentioned, the course is designed keeping in mind the absolute beginner. So when you start off, what kind of doubts you have. So we talk about do's and don'ts for a singer. We learn the correct breathing technique. We learn the basics of keyboard. I have lessons on how to play the keyboard for your singing. We learn what is a pitch. We learn the basic concepts of pitch, and we also learn the major scale. But then the main point, I mean, there are lots of learnings for everyone who opts for the course, but primarily, if I have to like sum it up in couple of learnings, the first would be that when you sing correctly, when you're performing right, it should feel good. It should not hurt. That's one takeaway I would want the students to take away, that when you're singing right, in whether you're singing high notes, whether you're singing low notes, it should not hurt. It should not happen that you have performed and after performance everybody is applauding you but you are hurting inside. That should not be the case. So if you train the correct way with the correct technique, good singing, so correct singing does not hurt. That is one takeaway you take from the course.
Okay.
Another takeaway I have for like summing up all the takeaways, another takeaway is whatever style of singing you get into, as we're already talking about this, whatever style you're getting into singing, the basic concept of vocal closure, the basic muscle memory, we talk about, yes, the vocal closure, we talk about muscle memory. So a lot of people talk about singing. I mean, we talk about singing as an athletic endeavor, wherein you keep doing the same thing and your muscle memory builds, so that every time you close your vocals in the correct way, you build that twang. So that basic principles of building that twang, using resonance building, using onsets, and you understanding the modes remains the same. So once you get this thing happening, rest, you come into styles and you can train in any style after that. So
It's very
like these are yeah.
okay. Anything else? It's not a trick question. Just curious. I don't want to cut you off. I mean, we could go on for hours with this. Really, honestly, to be completely frank, the benefits and that they get from it. But I do really like that you point out full closure as, if we could list 50 things, that'd be at the top. The ability to command and control the glottis, the command and control the vocal folds, which, by the way, don't call it vocal cords. There really is no such thing as a vocal cord, right? It's their vocal folds that just, if you want to impress your friends at a cocktail party. So they're folds. So to get vocal fold closure, to get command and control of that fundamental movement beyond what we do when we speak. Okay. So if speech is sort of a basic thing, singing is a high performance athletic thing. And singers that are really great, whether they're aware of it or not, have fantastic command and control of the fold closure. And the way you can close the vocal folds lightly, strong, you can make them distort, you can make them windy, they affect the sound color, they affect the vowel. The vocal folds aren't everything, but they're certainly a big part of what's going on. And I've noticed in my own singing, by the way, that in some of the techniques that you're training in your course, like the attack and release onset, the quack and release onset, the dampen and release onset, some of these more aggressive onsets and techniques that your students will get, build fantastic fold closure with really high sound pressure levels, which is what you need to do when you're a great singer. So anyways, I didn't want to steal your thunder there, but I'm just sort of my way of agreeing with you.
I mean, I didn't want to throw a lot of jargon at people and get them lost somewhere and disconnected. That's why I didn't want to talk about all the complex terms. But yes, there is a lot of stuff that that advanced singers are going to gain from this course as well.
Yeah. It's not on our preparation sheet here, but can you just name 3 TVS methodology concepts that sort of sound a little bit techie, and just briefly explain what they are? So the person that is maybe more advanced, that is already a great singer, what sort of cool new understanding or methodology or terms would they be able to get out of it? Things like onsets and that sort of stuff. Just want to make sure that you get a chance to toss it out for the advanced people.
Yeah, right. So one concept, the basic, is resonance tracking. When we talk about resonance tracking, we are talking about the buzzing nasals. We talk about M, N, and NG, how to get the vocal placement at the correct part. So this is resonance tracking is the first time we get into hardcore technique, right? And unless you get your resonance tracking right, you can't move forward. So that is one TVS thing I would talk about.
Okay.
And yeah, now there is onset. So what is an onset? Onset is the first thing that you do, like when you're about to sing, the first thing that you do, right? And then we have a lot of different onsets. We have track and release onset. We have quack and release onset. So different onsets that we train on, producing different sounds to ensure that the vocal folds that we just mentioned, the vocal folds closure is happening in the correct way.
Yeah.
And the third thing I would talk about is the vocal modes. So there are physical modes and there are acoustic modes. Physical modes talk about the different configuration. Some are primitive, like the speech mode is a primitive mode, a sob mode is a primitive mode, and then there are advanced modes, the twang mode, the which else? Distortion, yeah. I mean, so there are advanced vocal modes. And when we talk about acoustic modes, we are talking about basically sound colors. We are talking about vowels that we have. So a lot of singing, even in Hindustani music, by the way, even in Hindustani classical, vowels are used a lot. I mean, we talk about akar, which is an a. So you basically train the scale on an R sound. As we all believe that whenever we are singing anything, a vowel is very important to get right, right? Where you place the vowel, you place it forward, you place it backward, how you keep the placement at the correct place. So
Wow.
the understanding of modes,
Yeah.
this is also a very specific thing that we have in TVS, and we talk about there are 10, there are three different vowel types: the forward vowels, neutral vowels, and backward vowels, and we train and we learn how to train all of them. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that answer. I just for stepping back as well, Robert from the TVS methodology and stuff. I just tell you folks that that is a demonstration and proof that he understands the methodology, resonant tracking, the onsets, vowels, and there's more to it. But from my perspective, what that confirms is in a sense, he gets the job. You know, he will show you these techniques, and if you train these techniques, you will become a better singer if you practice and commit to it. So that's what. Yeah, nicely done. Yeah, nicely done. And it wasn't about trying to sell the methodology so much. It was just really more about, again, for the student. I want them to, the more advanced people, I want them to understand.
Yeah, but somehow I feel that all these things go from one to the other. You start from resonance tracking, then if you get that right, you move on to onsets as a phase two, and then when you get your onsets right, you move on to your acoustic modes and master your acoustic mode. So I mean, these three things are what a person should be practicing for the at least for the first 6-8 months. That's it.
Cool. Great. Hey, real quick, a little bit on a little bit of technical issue. Rahul, we're getting just a pinch of distortion on your mic, just a pinch. So if you have the ability to turn the output volume down just a touch, it might help.
Okay,
Not a super big deal, but
let me check.
Okay.
I'll maybe place it a little below this thing.
Testy
Is
check.
that better?
Give me a testy check.
Is that fine? Check. 1,
It
2,
might
3,
be a
check.
little bit better. Yeah, I think it's probably on the app though. You like a throttle back on your app on your computer might be the touch, but placement of the Go ahead.
Check.
Okay.
Is that better?
hey, we told you guys we'd be giving you a live show, so this is live. Okay, all right. Let's pivot. Let's talk about course production because that's sort of exciting and very interesting to a lot of people that'll be watching this. What are 3 things you learned about course production, like actually creating it and getting involved in this, and in that journey, and how do you think it, you know, and these lessons that you learned that you'd like to share, how would that help others that are interested in producing a course? So what was the journey like for you? What are some things that some tough lessons you learned, maybe? I think I know one that's coming. And then, how can that help people that are interested in producing a course that haven't done this before?
Yeah. If you want my advice on course production, I would say just don't do it. It's a crazy stuff out there. Just kidding. Yeah, that's not the actual answer. All right. So, getting to the serious stuff, the first normally when anyone talks about course production, they might talk. I mean, when I did not start the course production 1 year back, had someone asked me how to produce a course, I would have given a lot of random stuff. I would have thought, think about the idea, think about the audience and all that stuff. But having done, I would first of all talk about the most unconventional thing that we normally ignore. That's the gear. When you're producing the course, know your gear. When I talk about the gear, I'm talking about how you're going to record the video. Are you going to use a DSLR? Are you going to use a handy cam? Are you going to use a webcam or a phone? Second, what kind of lighting do you have? You can't just go with your normal lighting. You need to have external lighting. So in gear, a lot of stuff happens. Even your room, where are you filming? Is the room too echoey? Does it have disturbances from outside? Then how about the audio recording? How are you going to record the audio? Are you going to use camera microphone? Are you going to use laptop microphone? So there are a lot of options out there. And one thing which I overlooked initially, I mean, there were a lot of roadblocks. As Robert, you saw, there were a lot of challenges we faced with the lighting, with the camera angles, with the framing, and all this gear related thing, which is very important to be sorted out in the start only, because once you produce a lot of stuff, you realize this nothing was in place. You're really going to go back and then reinvest in your gear. Yeah, I mean that happened with me. And another important part in the gear was the storage management. Nobody talks about it, but yes, when you're making a video course, it's going to be really heavy, so you better plan out your storage, because you'll be repurposing your videos a lot. So an online storage, Google Drive or a OneDrive, something like that, is handy. So that's the first thing: know your gear. Second thing, I would say, structure the course and script your lessons. This is very important, because I have been teaching for almost a decade now. But course production, video course production, was very different. It was not like a usual class. I mean, teaching real people in front of you is not the same as teaching an online class, because you don't see the person. So it is important that you script your lessons. You, whatever your lesson structure is, you have structured down your whole course. Then you pinpoint, okay, this is the lesson that can go as a single video. You script it down. You practice your script, and then click on the record button. Don't just go on there and press the record button and then realize that you don't know what's the structure, whether your flow is organized or not. So that's the second tip: script your lessons. And the third tip I would say is, uh, uh, do not compromise on quality. There will be times when you feel, suppose you have recorded 5 lessons and you are now reviewing everything. At the end of the time, like when you review your 5 lessons, you see the 5th lesson has really come out well, but the first lesson with which you started off has a little lighting issue, the framing is not proper, and the colors are not correct. Do not go ahead with it. Redo it redo it I learned from the I that was what Robert told me, and it happened with me when we were starting off. There were a lot of, like, there was one video when we started off, I shot it like 5 times, until the final one came out, and I was like, yes, this is fine. So redoing, do not compromise on the quality, because it is very important, because you want the best product that you can produce. So
There's
these are the 3 points. Yeah, yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. The two things about that I'd like to share about making sure that you're doing the best quality that you're conscientious of and that you can produce from the get-go is the point I think you were sort of making, which is that if you don't give it, as far as you're aware and your experience, and that means that goes us back to the gear. You know, it may be the best that you did at the time, but you just didn't have the right gear. But you give it the absolute best quality you can possibly afford and give it to, because what will inevitably happen if you're a beginner, if it's your first time, is you'll go back and you'll look at content and realize, yeah, I thought that was good, but now I'm realizing it's not good enough. And what that does is that makes you have to do it over. And making videos and courses, it's hard work. It's hard work, and you don't want to have to do it over. And we've all had to do it over.
Yep.
The 4 pillars of singing, by the way, the files that people get, the videos that people get in the 4 pillars of singing, is literally about the 4th or 5th time that I went through all of that, and I learned the hard way. I mean, I've got folders of content that people haven't seen in my big singing course that never, because it's just not good enough. But imagine the money and the time spent into that. So I'm trying to protect you guys to not make that mistake. And the other thing about that, if I could share, is that once you have a course out and it's in video, it lives forever.
Yeah,
it lives forever. In fact, it lives longer beyond what you live, how you live. And so you want to put your best foot forward. You know, you don't want people, and when we're talking about a course like yours where millions of people are going to be watching this thing, your reputation's on the line, and you don't want that shot of, with the hair in your face. You know, you've got to you really gotta clean it up. So anyways, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I want a quick
Robert,
question.
you should have shared this anecdote earlier. I mean, you should have told us that it was the fourth or the fifth production for your course, because as a producer, as a creator, I was looking at your course and I was like, wow, this guy has a perfect delivery. So now I know the secret.
After lots of toil, lots of mistakes, lots of practice.
Yeah.
You mentioned script. Just real quick on scripting. How do you do a script? Because a script could sort of mean people think, oh, movie script, it's a great big book, and so I thought, and you're kind of using script in a different context. How do we script, as you say, or storyboard for an online course?
Okay, so first, like, my approach might not be the best one, but that's what I do. I structure the entire course in an Excel sheet. I mean, I might be the only one doing that, but I do it that way. I put up all the points that I want to cover in the course in an Excel sheet, then try to subdivide what all can come inside it. And then basically I try to make a flow of it. I see how, is there any missing block? So suppose when I'm talking about the keyboard, can I now and when then I talk about the major scale, then I see there is a missing link. I should also talk about, after that I should talk about how to play the major scale on the keyboard. So flow like that. So I make a full flow, and then in a Word document I start writing down ideas on each of the topics that I've mentioned. So then I start jotting down what are my ideas. That's the first step. So just laying down all my ideas down bare without thinking about how I'm going to present. I just put down all my thoughts on each topic. And then I try to organize those thoughts. And I also try to write down what I'm going to speak, like the bullet points of what I'm going to speak on each of these. And the main idea when I'm scripting is that, one, it should be simple. It should be simple. Second, it should be organized. And it should also be relatable. So relatable in the sense that a person who comes to me to understand singing a major scale, I should be first explaining them what is a major scale. So if I start away straight up singing a major scale and assuming that this guy knows the major scale, in a video course, especially in a face to face, it might be different, but in a video course I try to go an extra mile explaining more. So that's the scripting part of it. I try to overdo the explaining sometimes, so that even the weakest person in the class can get it.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to ask you. Thank you. You have a story to tell. I wanted you to tell a story. Let's do some storytelling. All right, gather around. And back to the gear. You mentioned data storage. I'm going to let you go. That's one of your painful lessons, and really painful lesson. And so let's not let that go. Let's let people learn that lesson through you. Yeah. So tell us the story of your personal story of file backup and file storage.
So what happened, like, it's actually a very painful story. I can laugh it off right now, but I had sleepless nights when that happened. I remember telling Robert, this is not happening. This is not. So yeah. So what happened was, like, it was, I think, 3 months back. I had filmed 10 video lessons with the audio and the video in separate SD cards. So basically that time I was recording the audio separately and the video separately, and in Adobe Premiere I was merging the audio and the video and syncing everything up. So I had recorded 10 lessons and everything was lying down in my SD cards only. And after that I used my SD cards for some other stuff also. And then I was like, okay, it's been 1 week back, I recorded everything should be fine. I'll just load it sometime and I'll start editing my stuff. And I had started using those SD cards also for like some other pictures and some other stuff. And one fine day when I sit down to I just insert the SD card, it said there is nothing on the SD card. Just imagine what happened to me.
Rahul, your camera just froze for about 5 seconds. You were using the SD card, and you went back to the SD card, and action.
And I insert the SD card, the message pops up, there is no file in the card. And I kept on clicking on it. It was like for full 1 hour I was clicking on it, and boom, the card had got corrupted. And there was nothing that could, I mean, I tried recovering it through softwares and a lot of stuff. So cutting all that short, the basic takeaway is the moment you shoot your lesson, take down the SD card storage into your system and probably store in some online storage. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I do it now, because online storage like a OneDrive, I'm using a OneDrive right now. Some people, you can use a Google Drive or even an Apple Cloud. That is much more secure than physical formats. I mean, an SD card can get corrupted anytime, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of pain. I had to shoot all those 10 lessons,
Yeah.
everything from start. And it was like, it really hurt me because of that little SD card that we never take
Yeah.
care of. I mean, we're taking it for granted. So, yeah, I mean, I have changed my workflow now. So, the moment I record a lesson, I immediately copy it down into my system and upload it on the OneDrive.
Yeah, that's a good lesson to learn, which meant you had to, it was just destroyed 2 weeks, 3 weeks of work. Yeah, just completely wiped out, got to start over again. And I learned a lesson from your pain as well, which was something I would have assumed, but now I have a real life experience that I can pass on to other Quartz Creek clients, which is, don't use SD cards. You know, like maybe save it to the SD card, and then, as you say, like immediately off the SD card to an external drive or a cloud-based service. I think that you just blew out your SD card. I think that when you had all the videos in there, and then it was corrupted, but then when you add other stuff in there like pictures and whatever other files that went in there, that's, SD cards are lightweight, man. I don't think that they're able to sort of handle all that complexity. But anyways, thanks for sharing your story.
While we are at it, I also want to talk about the external hard disk. One of my external hard disks just fell off and I lost all the data. So again, I don't rely on external hard drives also. So I think online storage is, I am like putting all my money in online storage now.
I have too. I still use external drives, but I do that knowing that there's a bit of a risk. I once lost an external drive, and the external drive recovery guys, they got kind of a nice racket going because they know you need it. So just, so I bend over, because it's like, oh, you need your data? All right. Yeah, we can get you your data.
Yeah. So, and that's not the only thing. I went to, there's a famous place in Delhi called Nehru Place, which is for recovery of data. I went there. The problem with data recovery from hard disk is they also want you to tell the exact file name that you want to search for. So who remembers exact file names?
That's impossible. That's impossible. Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyways, people, that's really good advice if you're into doing a course. Real quick here. So how did Quartz Creek, what value did it provide for you in your production, in a humble way? If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, right from the word go, when we were structuring out the course, that is where in Quartz Creek came in. I mean, structuring the course, then putting down how to actually shoot the video. When I was talking about framing, when I was talking about lighting, I had issues with white balance. So as a musician, I'm not aware of what is white balance in a camera. So with Quartz Creek's video expert, he told me how to actually use a gray card and he knew my camera, and he told me how to use white balance, because I mean, we don't realize it, but the end result is not good if you don't, I mean, as just a course creator, I don't know all that steps, right? So getting the gear and suggestions on gear, that again, I felt that investing in a lavalier by road might be a little expensive thing, but Coach Creek told me that the investment is worth it, and I think, and right now I think that was one of the best investments I made, and that's totally worth it. So having the right mentor was very important for me, because you need to know how to actually prioritize your expenses when you're producing a course. You're not even only spending your time, you're spending your investment, you're spending your money as well, right?
Yep.
So knowing from someone who has already done it, and knowing all the challenges that someone has already done it, came a big way in helping me out with all the gear, with all the timelines, and how to promote the course. That was like, after once the course was produced, how to promote it, how to like talk about it to your to the students and everything. I think a course, had it not been for Course Creek, the course would not have been out. I can at least I know that. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And you were a good student, by the way. Like, you worked really hard, and you never gave up. You had opportunities to give up. You had opportunities to give up, especially the story we just heard, but you didn't. And I started noticing that about you. Like, from my perspective as your mentor and as your coach in this course production relationship, I had moments where it's like, is he going to stick it out? Is he gonna keep going? And a lot of people, some people don't. Some people are just not cut out for it. They quit. And many people don't, and you were one of those. And it's just, I'm trying to pay you a compliment, which is, you didn't give it up, and you just kept going. You're like, damn it, I'm gonna get this thing. I'm not, for you, it seemed like, from my perspective, I was watching you, it's like peeking through the door, watching you deal with your journey. And I thought to myself, okay, he's not going to let it beat him. He will stick with this thing because he committed to it. Like, you committed to it. You committed to me as a partnership. You committed to yourself. You're in it, and you will not let this challenge beat you. And you stuck to it. And so compliments, man. That was really cool.
So that was your belief in that I could do it was keeping me going. I mean, that motivation and the encouragement, the feedback that I was constantly getting after every video lesson. I mean, hats off to you. You had the patience to actually review every video that I used to send and tell me, okay, no, the head position is not too good. The overhead room should be more. The framing should be different. The lighting can be from this angle. And that was amazing. I mean, that changed the whole the thing. The whole mindset with which now I look at making videos. I mean, that approach totally changed it.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good point, which is, at the end of the experience, not only do you have this lovely course that can help singers not only in India, which is enough, it's what, 1.3 billion people, but anybody that speaks English, but that now, because you've gone through the phase 2 coaching phase and stuff, you're trained. You're like a Course Creek certified course creator now. I mean, we laugh, but it's sort of true. Like, now you can sit back, and we even had a conversation recently about that, which was sort of like, cool. All right, what do you want to do next? Got some ideas. Maybe it's a guitar course, maybe it's something else not related. But as your coach, I get pleasure out of that as well. That's meaningful. That is lasting. That's in the sense where I can walk away from this and go, you know what? Rahul will always be able to feed himself. He will always be able to now, at least I know that, like, what I helped him to develop, he'll always be able to do something that's scalable. And if you hit, like, if you and your wife hit on another idea that's really, has a lot of demand, for example, I take some pride in knowing that okay, I'm not trying, I hate to sound like I'm talking about myself. What I'm trying to say is that it's really exciting, and I'm really happy for you that you now have the skill set do something that's so scalable and so accessible and so very much in demand right now these days. Like, it's a big thing, courses, and that you can take the skill set and grow with it. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm happy for you. Yeah.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I mean, I want to also add on one thing. For if there are people who are course creators and who are interested in creating course, it might not sound like very intuitive, but yes, you need to have a basic level of video editing skills also. I mean, how to basically make the transitions, how to add basic text, some B-rolls, I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some stuff. Yeah. I mean, that is also something that really makes your video pop out. I mean, it really makes it more interesting for the user, for the student to watch different text coming along. So a very basic knowledge of video editing is also, I think, an essential thing for you to be able to make a nice course.
God, that's a really important point. I've never been on a Hollywood set or a Bollywood set, but I'm willing to bet that if we went to these places and we talked to the director and the producer and the actors, I'm willing to bet that if we had sort of a conversation with these guys, that they would say, yeah, it's good to have a talented director. It's good to have people that can act. But what people don't realize is the most important part of this entire thing is the guys you never see behind the scenes, the editors. We give them a whole bunch of content and 8 different angles of the same shot. We just dump a bunch of content that's got the right lighting, the right actor, and the right, videography on it. And we ask them to then put Humpty Dumpty together. We ask them to just like the timing, the music, the everything, the angles. So I'm going off in the weeds a little bit here, but I'm sort of backing you up to say that whether it's a big production or it's a small production like what we're doing, it's in the editing that something can really come to life.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And makes a lot of difference. I mean, yeah, editing makes a lot of difference to the whole project. It gives a very lively feel once you can do some little bit edits here and there. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's part of the educational factor too. It's in courses, and it like what we're talking about, having some some bullet points come in as you're talking, and then some bullet points coming in. Okay, the first thing you need to remember, the second thing you need to remember, the third thing you remember. You like my animations here, effects and B-rolls are really cool. Let's like B-roll to a shot of you seeing your training or whatever. It just makes it, not only teaches better, but it makes it more engaging, more entertaining, and keeps people going. Yeah.
True.
Thank you for bringing that up about the editing. It's really important. I'm glad we had an opportunity to mention that. Okay. Now, where can people find, let's bring the singing and the production together. So, I think we have a lot of singers out there now going,
yeah, I had promised all the singers who are on live that they are going to get a reward. Yeah.
Okay, singers. Thank you for sitting through that with us. Hopefully that had some interest to you. So where can people find your course, and do we have any special offers? tell me where they can get your course.
Yeah. So the course is available on Udemy. You just need to type out the principles of good singing, and our course will pop up. It has, I think, 107 students right now, so that you'll be able to find that out. And yes, there is a surprise. There is a special code for all those who are watching this. Okay. Should we tell it?
Well, tell it, and then we will drop the code into the comments section at Facebook and out at my YouTube channel, where we're simulcasting on my Facebook group, Vocalist Studio group, and my YouTube channel. We'll drop the code. We're going to drop a little discount code in there for you guys, because you can go out there and get it. And then Rahul, you're going to send emails and make sure everybody wants it.
Yeah. And the code is, carefully note, the code is Happy New Year.
Perfect.
HAPPYNEWYEAR. Happy New Year. That's the code. It's valid for 3 days. Yeah, you are going to get the maximum discount possible. That's a 96% discount. Yep. Beyond that is not in our hands, so that's the best we can give. But yes, for all the Indian students, I mean, I don't know if I tried to negotiate Robert to do this. I hope he agrees to it. Only for the first 50 singers who enroll using the course, we are all going to have a masterclass on practice routines for the high performance vocal athletes by Robert Lunte and me, only for the first 50 enrollments after now. Okay, so once you enroll on it, make sure you take a snapshot of your enrollment and either email to me, or there is an external training page on which you actually train all your practice routines. There's a chat system inside it. You can write a message over there. You can drop your snap, and we'll get back to you. And you will be entitled to a free masterclass with Robert and me. And that's only for the first 50 participants.
Excellent. I like it.
Robert, are we in for that?
Well, I was a little bit freaked out because wait a minute here. I mean, we can do master class, but like 1.3 billion people is a lot of singers. But then when you make it for the first 50, that makes sense, honestly, and it's better for the people in the first 50 because as any class is, you can't have too many people. We need to be able to focus on helping you guys do this, and so this is a great plan. I'm just going.
Guys, sorry, Robert. Sorry to cut you short. This is the first time ever in the history of TVS that Robert is doing a masterclass free. Guys, grab this. This has never happened before. It's never going to happen again.
I'm laughing because it's actually true.
Yeah. So I think it's a yeah. I mean, and I don't know if you like it, but Robert has never given me also a free lesson. So all my lessons were.
I don't like free. I mean, don't get me started on free. Any of my friends or partners, we start talking about free. I'm a little weird about free. So he's absolutely right about that. And when he first said, he kind of wrote me into it a little bit this morning. He's like, oh, by the way, we're going to do this. Remember, we talked briefly about this group thing that we're going to do. We're going to have the first 50 people, and it's going to be for free. And I'm like, what? It's going to be for free? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's perfectly fine. If you purchase the course, it's actually not for free, though, is it? Because so the first 50 people that purchase Rahul's course out at Udemy, and it's called what's the name?
The Principles of Good Singing.
Okay. The first 50 people that purchase the Principles of Good Singing at Udemy from Rahul Sharma and Robert Lunte will get a free one hour group technique Q&A masterclass with Rahul and I. We're going to go through the principles. Believe me, we will not waste your time. Okay? What you get from this class, you will never forget. And I mean that. You'll never forget it. And if you take good notes and you pay close attention and you apply what we teach you in this master class, you will forever be a better singer. And there's a code that we want you to put in at Udemy. Happy New Year. There's no spaces, right? Happy New Year is the code to get a special prize. And to get in, to prove that you're one of the 50 people, please send Maestro Rahul Sharma and myself screenshot of your purchase so that we know that you're actually got the course. We'd appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay. That's the deal. And one more thing. If you could just, Rahul, just look to the camera, look to your students, look to the millions of people that are going to be watching this video in the next years to come, and share in 2 minutes, share with them something profound, a piece of sage wisdom from Maestro Rahul Sharma. Could be about singing, could just be about life in general. Anything that you would like to share with people that you would like them to remember forever from your wisdom and your time on this planet. Ready? Are you ready?
It's a trick one. Putting me in a spot. All right. So, yeah.
Could be about singing, could be about life. Ready? 2 minutes. Go.
So, there's one thing that I've always believed in, and I strongly advocate that. Let hard work be your true talent. So when I talk about this, when we look at different fields and we look at the people who have succeeded in those fields, we say a very common thing is, oh, so talented, this guy is so talented. So when we are saying this talent, the talent word that we use, I think we should replace it with how hardworking this guy is. We should look at how many hours and years of dedication that person has given to their art, and how much effort they have made to come where we see them being so perfect with their art. So when we talk about talent, in a subconscious way, we are telling ourselves that we cannot do it, because we believe that talent is inherent and you're born with, and now you can't change it. But hard work supersedes all. Let hard work be your talent. Work hard, work with perseverance, work in your goal in the correct direction, work on it every single breath you take. Stay focused on your goals, and you will definitely achieve what you're set out for. So don't be put down by roadblocks, don't be put down by challenges. There will be rejection when you are on your path, but give those hours, give that time. I mean, that time that you're logging in, somewhere up there, somewhere in the universe, that time is getting logged. And when the time comes, then when you're ready with your effort, the results will follow. Don't follow for the result, just keep on putting your effort. Don't let talent be a roadblock in your journey. Don't call anyone just talented. Look at the hard work behind it, and yes, let hard work be your true talent.
Wow, that is great. And with that, we should stop right there. Let hard work be your true talent. I couldn't agree more. From Maestro Rahul Sharma. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that with everybody.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your time this evening. And for the 50 people that purchased the course, we will see you soon in our group masterclass. That, I think we're done.
Cheers.
Bye.